Okay, Ian is here, so let's get him to co-host. Invite to speak. Here we go. What about you? What about you, Anthony or Peter? How are your days?
I mean, my day was great. I feel like we got a lot of progress, or made a lot of progress today. A couple conversations getting picked up. I'm excited for what we have for the next few weeks, and just getting the word out there about what we're building. Pete,
right, should be in there.
It's busy. I think we lined up our next Twitter Spaces with some drivers. We're pretty excited about. We'll announce those over the next 2 weeks, and I'm hoping that the last revision of an agreement for Jota Sport for Le Mans went out today, and we'll get the thumbs up. We'll sign that. We'll ink that, and Garage will be at Le Mans in June. So we're on track to do 2 of the 3 big races this year. So that just leaves Monaco for 2023.
It's on the list.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, I mean, we can jump right into it. So everyone, I'm AK. I'm CEO and founder at Garage XYZ, and Pete is here with me, COO and co-founder. We've been working on this thing for a while, and I think everything really came together when we met Ian. And a lot of what everybody's going to see up front, the aesthetic of the NFT, is driven by Ian's incredible work. So we wanted to just get to know him a little bit better. Ian, maybe you can start with introducing yourself, and then we'll jump in and ask you a couple questions.
Oh yeah, for sure. I am a half American, half British a designer and artist that kind of got my start with. I mean, I've just always been into cars. I studied car design in Coventry University. Never really went into industry, but always had my foot in design, but never ever kind of left my my passion for cars. So that's always been burning. And once I moved to LA, it just kind of all got out of control. So that's kind of where I am. So my day job, or at least my day job at the moment, is in design. Yeah, by any spare time I have, I'm out there photographing or trying to spend time with cars.
And when did you first pick up a camera, Ian?
That's a good question. I was trying to think about it the other night, and I think it's. I remember taking a 110 camera to early British car shows. I just used to be, when I used to live in the UK as a teenager or younger, I was just I needed to get. I just felt that capturing cars was really important, and I can guarantee that all of those photos are absolutely rubbish and in the bin somewhere, but. It was just there was something about capturing cars and finding the right angles, even though I never really found it for many decades afterwards, till many decades afterwards.
Yeah, you just need cloud storage, right? You could have pulled some of those things out of the bin.
Oh, but, man.
Were cars the one and only subject matter, or did you experiment with a bunch of different targets or?
Yeah, no, it's always been about cars, and I had an interest in photography, which I was kind of doing. I guess I was doing portraits a long time ago with actual film cameras, but I never really had a subject. It was just more I loved the idea of photography, but I never really kind of developed anything or any particular strain of it. But I think that really came together once I came to LA, and well, actually just before I came to LA. Where I was at Microsoft and someone introduced me to this thing called Instagram. And it is specifically how people were, it was a photography project, and specifically how people were taking photos on their really high-end equipment and putting these really small 512 pixel images up on Instagram. It was like, why would they do that? But here I am.
Well, they did it with music, right? We went from these really high file formats down to MP3s.
That's right. Man, that's so true. That is so true. Yeah, that's another one that hurts me too. But but there was I never understood that, and I slowly got into it. I started. I had a Nokia phone at the time, so they had a good sort of camera technology with them. And yeah, it's more just a part of understanding the space first. And I was just taking photos of random. If you go right back to like my first images in Instagram feed, you can really see where I was. It was just, you know, wandering around Washington, Seattle area, and just taking pictures of what was it first, like flowers and parked cars. And then I sort of just like centered on the car thing. Hey, why don't I just kind of do cars? And it's really trying to focus it and rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and I want to talk about that because, you know, when Peter and I first discovered you, and so for those of you that don't know, you know, I found Ian on Instagram and immediately sent his work over to Peter and said, "Oh my God, this is it! Like this is the thing that we've been searching for." You know, Peter and I were toiling for months trying to figure out like what the aesthetic would be for Garage, and so that's how we came across Ian. But you know, we went all the way back to the beginning of, you know, what Ian was posting online. And I kind of want to talk about this, you know, evolution of your photography around cars,
Yeah.
you know, where you included the background, but then, you know, moved your way into what you've, you know, designed and developed as Naked Color. Can you talk a little bit about that evolution?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, you know, taking it from Washington, we moved to LA, and I started to you know, I've always known about the great wealth of cars out here, and about this is the mecca for all things automotive. And I just wanted to get out there, and it was kind of a twofold exercise. One was just to get to know LA. So it was really just like the car shows were an excuse to get out every weekend after a desk job, drive somewhere, see some things, and drive back and have and come back with some new viewings of cars, and as well as a new neighborhood I would get to know. So that was the kind of initial part.
So hold on, let me interrupt right there. So you moved to LA just for the car scene?
Don't tell anybody else. No,
I won't tell your partner. Yeah,
yeah. No. Don't tell my wife. But no, no, it wasn't. It was actually a job offer, but it was a place I always wanted to. My upbringing in the UK, I always wanted to live in the States. I always thought San Francisco was going to be a place. I was born in San Francisco. I thought I was going to be back in the Bay Area, but the more I got to, but I had my auntie down here in LA, and I used to visit her all the time. And every time I came to LA, there was just like this immediate sort of comfort zone for me. I couldn't describe it. So once I kind of touched base, and once we sort of moved here, the story unfolded, and my true home was uncovered.
Oh, that's incredible. So I know Pete wanted to jump in.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, Ian, I wanted to touch base on kind of your work outside of photography, and kind of chat a bit more about your training and design.
Yeah.
And how that, I want to get a sense of how you think about how that tuned your eye, or how you think about cars, how you look at cars, how you think about the scenes around cars when you're shooting.
Yeah. No, I just realized I didn't fully answer Anthony's question, but yeah. So I mean I guess I've always liked a really clean design aesthetic. I've always the reason I was into cars originally, and I still into cars, is from the design aspect. Just it's something about. I think it started when I was a kid, and it was like a pedal cart, sitting in the pedal cart, and just loving this idea of a personal space on wheels. It's just like this nuts kind of idea. I don't know, just like this. I just remember having that thought of like, my God, this is like an enclosed cabin. I'm in this little box that I can go anywhere. This is crazy. And I don't know, and then from there it was just, I just was addicted to, well, I guess I was always addicted to the car design, but I identified it and really start to really like double down on understanding it. And once I learned, you know, there was this course that actually taught it. So you sit down and draw cars all day. That was the course. Like, that's nuts. Okay, I'm in.
Obviously, I used to just get in trouble for that in class.
Exactly. And actually, that's very true. I mean, I definitely got in trouble a few times for that. There's different art foundation, other courses. I even remember at the end of high school in the UK, we have something called A levels. And I was doing my A level art, and I insisted on doing a car painting. It was like, actually, believe it or not, it was the F1 car in the pits, very low angle. And they were just kind of like, why are you just like reproducing a photograph here? And with, but it's like, no, it's a car. I just love it. It's just this and that. And I don't think they really saw cars as a sort of a creative outlet in the same way I did.
Fascinating.
Yeah, so I mean, in terms of design, yeah, I mean, I ended up doing sort of game design. I was actually a car artist for a very long time doing games with Sony, and ended up being an art director, doing some games with THQ, RIP, and then moved into UX and UI, which is where I am now. So I think it's just the idea, the creativity, and that the coming up with new shapes and ideas has always been my thing. So, but I just cannot get this car bug out. It remains.
Cool. Yeah, yeah, Ian. I'm thinking. I imagine that growing up in the UK, you saw different cars, different vehicles from what you see in the LA area, what you saw in Seattle. I'm envisioning like little three-wheeled Morgans and Norton motorcycles, Aston Martin DB5s and DB6s all around you. But what was it? What was it really like?
No. I think that was actually almost opposite to that, because the three-wheelers were not Morgans; they were Robin Reliance. The sports cars were plastic bumpered GBTs. It's. I mean, not to say they were nice cars. Of course they were, but I guess just. The access to that wasn't the same. My access to that wasn't the same. I'd see them in the museums, and I'd have to go places, which is where I take my 110 camera and go find them at car shows and motor shows and things like that.
So yeah, let's switch a little bit. I want to talk about the art itself. Like we probably talk about cars all day long, but
yes,
like you've talked about the 110. Let's talk a little bit about some of the gear that you use to capture naked color. Like what is really involved. I mean, Peter and I have seen it. We went down to LA. We did a capture day.
Yeah.
You know, really, really large scale production. We'll share some videos behind the scenes looks at that pretty soon. But talk to us a little bit about the gear that you need to use in order to capture naked color.
Yeah, for sure. It started quite humbly, but I use strobes to capture it, and the whole going right back to kind of the evolution of it. I really wanted to find a way of isolating the car. I will get into kind of the naked color treatment in a bit, I'm sure, but more specifically, I wanted a way to photograph cars and get a very consistent look out of wherever I photograph, inside, outside, at night, whatever. But I just wanted this idea that I wanted to control the scene rather than the scene control me. And I think that's the big difference from my old photography going into this new photography. And I think that's also just how a lot of photographers are just controlled by the light, or let the light kind of dictate what they take. But I like to control that light and create that myself. So the gear itself is I'm using a lot of sort of, I guess it's a Chinese brand called Godox, but it's a lot cheaper than Pro Photo. Essentially does the same job, and uses up to about 7 or 8 lights for a scene to capture the cars.
And would you say that's the most important piece of equipment there, or the lights, the strobes themselves, or?
Yeah, I think it's a kind of combination. It's a kind of a happy. I've refined the mix of things to make this, and the elements, the ingredients, and even down to like lens choices and making. I have a very. It took a little while to kind of get to what I felt was the right lens to use for, which was like a 40 mil. I just love the 40 mil for like angled work. Mm-hmm. But obviously use longer lenses for straight on shots and things like that to get like less distortion.
And can you talk about the shoots themselves? Like how long does it take? And I mean, don't give everything away, obviously, because it's it's your own secret sauce. But it's not just like walking up to a car and taking a photo, right? We've all done that, or at least people in this community have done that with their iPhone, right? Or even their own high-end camera setup,
right? But, it's a process of there's a few. It takes about 2 hours per car. Sorry, I'm dithering, kind of trying to think about where to start. I've got that time down per car now. It's getting better and better as I refine the process and refine what I want to do. And I think that's, as an artist, you're just always curious and always looking at ways to improve. or the other way to look at it, you're always so self-critical that you're never going to have the right thing. But yeah, it's about 2 hours per car. I mean, I've been doing the setup on all of the work pretty much solo, with the exception of some of the capture days we've started to introduce. We're bringing on assistants and things, which really, really help. Yeah, so the process, yeah, 2 hours. I'll drive out to the scene usually, whether it's inside or outside at night, and yeah, just kind of do it there. Now you like to do maybe like 2 cars at one time. Just because part of the setup involves me like setting up in kind of a semi studio. That is to say, I use a reflective surface of a paper to put around the car to kind of get that consistent look, and that white paper is like really, really important to kind of get the bounce light and the sort of the surrounding light that I managed to do on the shots.
Cool.
But yeah, about 2. Yeah, that's the process. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, it's so automatic now. It's almost like muscle memory.
Yeah.
And the great thing is, like, all of it fits in my car. I don't need a van. I need a truck. It literally all fits in the van. In my car.
We should talk about that Mopar at some point, but because it is pretty cool. And we did another interview around your car. We're still working on refining that video. But
that's right. Yeah, we did.
Which was really fun. But I know you shot in naked color something around like 165, 170 cars. I want to say something like that. So I can see refining that process and getting down to just a few hours per shoot. But I know when we set up that shoot together in January, like there was a lot of effort that went into wrangling people, calling in favors, showing your work, showing what you were capable of. While the shoot itself might be just a few hours, it seems like a bit of years or a lifetime to build that kind of network.
Yeah, this is great.
Those cars.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I think I always just focus on the shoot itself, but you're right. I mean, there's a ton of work that goes into it, a ton of effort, a ton of, the effort is everything from just, it started at car shows. It started when I was out there with my Nokia, getting to know people. And I was pounding the pavement for a good 6 years or so doing this, going to many car shows. I think my peak was around 139 shows in 2018. But yeah, I mean, this is LA. You can do four car shows in a day. But yeah, with that, it's just getting to know people, building the trust, being that familiar face, and then when it comes to sort of asking for favors or asking for time for those cars, that relationship is built, and people slowly open their doors, and it's almost like a video game as well, where you unlock levels. I go into one place and I start and then do some photography, share it, and then others come along saying, "Oh my gosh, can you do that to me for my cars?" And I was very, very fortunate of landing some really important collectors quite early on. So it was my work plus the subject materials really just elevated, I think just really elevated the photos and elevated the reception to it. I think if I just started with Mustangs, maybe I wouldn't have got there so quickly, or maybe not Mustangs, but starting with the HF0 concept car, that kind of helped a lot.
It does not hurt to go with a one of one versus something that perhaps was overly produced.
Exactly. Yeah.
Victim of its own success.
No, yes. Some would say. Yeah, I mean, like, that's such a big sticking point for me on like your work itself, and like how much it pops to car lovers and even to those that aren't, right? There's just a desire to have their vehicles captured in naked color. And I know this is a bit of a plug or advertisement here, but there's so much movement and excitement and color in your work. I gotta think that's the big motivation for a lot of these people who have busy schedules or are traveling around the world, and these cars don't have high mileage on them either, right? So just the fact that they're driving them down or having them lorried over is a big deal.
Oh, it's massive. Yeah, it's massive. I think the capture day was the first time that I actually asked cars to turn up somewhere. I think I never even thought about that either. I think every single shoot before was me traveling to where the car is parked or stored, or a dark car park on a dodgy night in a dodgy neighborhood somewhere. But this is it's you're but even to do that, even to get into some of these garages, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of building of trust and a lot of relationships to get in there. Yeah, and you're right. It is the quality of the photos that speaks for itself too. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we showed up at that shoot in LA, I think like January 15th, to capture the last few cars for Genesis. And in polls at like 8:30 a.m. on the money, the most original Lamborghini Miura on the planet. This guy gets out. It turns out Jeff is one of the coolest guys I've ever met.
He is.
And he is passing a kidney stone.
Yes, he is.
And he's
Yes.
in terrible pain.
TMI. TMI, Pete.
Well, yeah, that might possibly, but I think it does say something. He's like, I'm not going to miss a shoot with Ian Wood.
Yeah, it's true.
His car has been all over the world.
Yes, it has. Yeah.
It's been shown in magazine after magazine. He's been on podcast after podcast. He's won at Pebble Beach, but he would not delay, would not miss a photo shoot with you. I thought that was really, really cool.
Oh, that guy is just amazing, and I mean that's actually all the people that turned up kind of did marvelous that day. I mean, Jeff in particular, that was actually the second Miura shot of his, and that that even that relationship was kind of built on a similar thing of like just seeing him at car shows over years and seeing that Miura out. He actually drives that Miura more often than you think, just knowing that that's the Miura I want to capture. But it actually took maybe 3, 4, 5 other cars I photographed of his before we got to that Miura, which started with I know Peter, one of your favorites, the R2, the Lark.
Yeah, the pink Lark.
Lark. Yeah. That was the first one, and a perfect '65 Buick Riviera, just perfect, a GS. I mean, it was just an amazing car. And his 38 miles from new Volkswagen 1985 Volkswagen Cabriolet. So the guy's got some great
for
cars.
like $65,000 on Bring a Trailer.
No, it went 90. I think it went 90. Wow. Yeah. I still had the engine wax on it, just like the delivery wax.
Oh, that's wild. And I mean, maybe this is a little bit unfair, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I mean, do you personally have a favorite manufacturer or model of car? I mean, it could be what you drive today, or
I dither around on which one I can call my favorite. It's like your favorite color. It's really, really difficult to say at any particular time. But I would say, I think the Lamborghini Miura really stands out as for me as top. I mean, for a number of reasons. You have Marcello Gandini design, the Bertone, the color, what that car did to the car world. I mean, it started with the Countach, started with that poster on the wall in the 80s. Yes, I was one of those kids. But of course, I didn't have the typical red one. I had the yellow concept car.
Nice.
It was original kind of concept shots from just off of the Geneva show. They just showed the car. But
Well, I mean, I have to believe that somebody who's studied automotive design has sort of seen the evolution of vehicles. The Miura is itself iconic. I mean, it is set the tone for so many different shapes.
That's
over the next handful of decades.
It
really stands out that way.
Yeah, and I think it provoked something. It provoked something. A different way to look at cars. I think it challenged the status quo, and as did the Countach, and not to say Lamborghini does it every single time, but I certainly think those two models stand out as things that really pushed us forward, pushed the car world forward.
Yeah. It all started with tractors.
Yes, exactly. Well, his dissatisfaction with Ferrari. I mean, so many origin stories come from that, or actually, so many origin stories come from rich Italian business being disappointed by the cars they buy. So I think even Ferrari was disappointed. Yeah, Ferrari was disappointed by Alfa. I think Maserati is in there somewhere. It's like they all have their stories.
Yeah, a little bit of agitation always creates some energy, right?
Yes, that's right.
So I mean, switching over a little bit to like garage, and Peter and I reached out to you. It was a bit of a cold call, really. What was it about what we're building at Garage that attracted you, that made you say yes, I want to contribute my work. I want my work to be the face of this thing.
Yeah, I think, yeah, yeah. I
Or
think there's a
maybe it's
number of
just
things.
like blind enthusiasm from Peter and I. I don't know.
Yeah, that's yeah. It was that? Of course, it was, guys. But I think I'd say it also was I think it just came at the right time. We've talked about this a few times, how our origin stories for the origin story of the Garage and the origin story of Naked Color are born from the same place, which is lockdown, a frustration of not being able to kind of do what we want to do, and a dream of getting out there and doing that. But I think what really excited me was it's almost, again, just carrying on that journey of Instagram, where I'm feeling I'm not I wouldn't say plateauing, but I think I want to expand. I wanted to really find another outlet for my work. I have especially this work. It's so high resolution. It's not as I'm not going to say throwaway as my old stuff, but it's so much more meaningful. And I was really looking for the right way to elevate it. And you guys came along literally just at the right time and just our goals really matched. You guys really wanted to build out something really, really special. I was also kind of thinking about this NFT thing. Was very unclear on it. I'm much more read up on it now, but but yeah, it started off as like, yeah, there's an opportunity to do something with this digital art, to actually have a way to distribute it, have a way for people to enjoy it in their own way, and not forced through Instagram, through a platform.
Yeah, something they can take with them, that they can remember, that can point to your work and say, this is Ian's photography. Yeah, I mean, when Peter and I reflect on it now, it just seems like such a magical, serendipitous thing that happened. We were quite good on the back end of things, right? Operationally, and we ask a lot of questions and we get into details, maybe too much so, but your work is really the face of this thing, and it's it's just really, really, we feel so grateful that we can work together.
Yeah, no, I think it's the we're just creating just this new energy, this new way of looking at. I would even argue, raising the bar of NFTs, and the look of it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think we all know it's the year of photography, right? For NFTs, and I think there's a ton of talent that goes into generative art, and some of the illustrations that are out there. Definitely. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But you've got real work, real relationships. The authentic thing.
Yeah.
And we can take a lot of the technology that was produced with early generations of NFTs and collections, and bring that forward with this DAO concept. And
totally.
I think it's the right marriage altogether.
Yeah, and when I think about NFTs, my initial thoughts were they're literally these very high level pieces of art that can be exchanged and what have you. At least that's the way I came into it. And the more I learned about it, it almost felt like some of the other generative stuff. It wasn't matching my expectations around what would be offered, and it also surprised me how much some of these things were going for that sort of level. So I think I'm really eager to kind of see how this collection goes, because I think it's like I keep on saying it, but I really do think we're bringing something new to the table here. I mean, each of these images is like individual. There's not generation to it. It's a unique perspective. It's one of one. There's something really, really special about it.
Yeah, you've touched every single one of them.
Yeah, exactly.
Many times, right?
That's true. Yes, my fingerprints are literally on every single one of them. Yes.
Yeah. Ian, one of the things I wanted to chat about, I recall the first time that we actually met in person. So I think we connected. Anthony, what was that, like September last year? I feel like
I mean, late September, early October. It might have been my birthday present, to me, October 2nd. So I think it was around that time.
Yeah.
And then we got chatting, and then within a few weeks, we were down in Orange County to view a collection together.
Yep.
And I recall sitting at that booth in that restaurant, that kind of dark restaurant, on the web on a Saturday, and this whole thing blossomed. Like, we sketched out the next collection for Iconic, which we'll announce after Genesis drops. And so we sketched that out, and then we went to this museum. We pitched the owner. We looked at Ferrari F40s and F50s and Lamborghinis and Michael Schumacher's 1996 F1 car, and that was a pretty magical day. And at the end of that day is when the big vision for Garage hit. And at some level, it's this has got to be the most influential car club in the world. Let's create a venue for people who love cars.
Yeah.
To come together, pool resources, pool knowledge, pool excitement, identify the experiences that we've all wanted but could never access, could never afford, and come together and invest in those things. Whether that's that's funding a team for NASCAR or IndyCar, it's getting a piece of an F1 team, or being a title sponsor for an F1 team. It's acquiring a kick-ass suite of Ferraris, campaigning them around the world and taking them to auction. Whatever that is, in numbers, we can do these things together. And we want to put your art, these cars from Genesis especially, on the cover of that, to be the face of the community. And so that the quality of that work, the authenticity of it, the honesty of it, trickles down into everything that we do going forward. But that was a very special weekend that we spent together, kind of coming to that point, achieving that degree of focus.
Definitely.
But I'm curious if you have any, you want to recall any of that experience, or Anthony, if you want to draw from that.
Well, I mean, just reflecting that we met Ian in October, and we went in, we raised a modest seed round to help us grow and build product. We wrapped it up in January. I think I had COVID over the holidays. Don't tell the man. I don't want it on my record. But here we are, second week in March, and we're about ready to launch. I think we want to spread the word. That's really what we're spending the next month doing, and setting up a lot of appearances. And we're really, really fortunate that we've got some amazing people coming through over the next couple of weeks to share the word. I'm just shocked at actually what we've done. I'm not trying to give ourselves too much credit here, but we've been to LA 4 or 5 times. We've met a bunch of owners. We've met luxury collections. We've talked to racing teams.
Just that capture day. I mean, that I think we had there's 2 or 3 weeks from our initial chat to actually having the events going, or it was a very small amount of time. And actually, I think we started planning just after Christmas, and on January 15th we were shooting.
Shit, that's pretty quick. Yeah, it was in full-scale production. We, one of our investors and advisors, he's an exec at Masterclass, and he does a lot of the production work for their photo shoots. And I won't share his name right now, but he was blown away at the production value that he had in there. And I'm going to give Cameron a lot of credit for pulling that fucker off. That was awesome. So cool. Look, I know we've got several minutes left here. I don't know if there's questions in the group that maybe Richard you're fielding. If not, Peter and I probably have a couple of things, and then we can wrap up. Just tell everybody sort of where we are with Garage and what we have planned over the next couple of weeks.
Feel free to ask away, Anthony.
Okay, super. So yeah, look, the last thing I guess I kind of want to look at is just kind of where you see sort of Garage going next, Ian, what you're most excited to work on, from a project perspective.
Oh yeah, I think you touched on one of the coming projects. I'm really excited to get into that. I think I don't want to give away a lot away, but you guys are certainly open up a lot of doors, a lot more doors than I would have had on my own. Needless to say, there's some amazing garages that we're going to be and cars that we've got in the pipeline. I'm also looking at just we have Naked Color. It's a very specific style, and that's going to be the running theme, at least for the next couple collections. But there's also different series that I've really been thinking about, even collaborations that I have in mind. So really interesting, really new stuff. yeah, I'm just it's just it's almost like a transformer, you know, all the different bits combined, and we just get stronger and stronger. Yeah, just looking forward to, you know, it's hard to say what am I looking forward to specifically without giving too much away, but yeah, there's a lot of really good stuff coming down the pipeline.
Well, yeah, we'll say some juicy details since we've got a lot to share already over the next month. So, just for everybody, you know, we've launched Discord. We launched it, you know, about 3.5, 4 weeks ago. We've done, you know, no advertising, no marketing. It's all been word of mouth. We're steadily building a good community there. We'd love to see more people in there, sharing photos of their own vehicles, you know, talking about racing, introducing, you know, this is supposed to be a very welcoming and fun community. We're really trying to humanize the automotive industry here for folks and motorsports. And it's an exciting time in motorsports. Formula One's about to kick off. We've got the Indy 500 coming up in a couple months. We are going to be doing like an initial drop here in a month. And so if you want to learn more about that, please jump into Discord, check it out. You know, we've got a great community, a great group that's helping us build community, manage community. They're there to answer all your questions. We're on Twitter. We just launched Instagram a week ago. We're giving some sneak peeks out there. There's a couple of videos about some of the behind the scenes stuff that we've done with Ian and with some of our advisors. We'll continue to share more there. But if you or a friend or a family member is into automotive, if you believe in, you know, the collective power of communities and what we can do together, this is an amazing place for you. We think there's all the value in the world in NFTs and where we can go together. But, you know, we also think that this is a very focused group and one that, you know, is passionate about, you know, vehicles of all shapes and sizes, manufacturers, models, colors, and vintages. So we hope that you can jump in, share a little bit more. Ian, thanks for joining with us here. Thank you again for like your incredible work. We're so excited to make it the face of what we're doing here. Peter, do you have anything else that you wanted to share before we jump off?
Oh man. I'll
Peter
figure
can't
that out
figure
at
out
some
the
point,
mute
man.
button.
I keep hitting the wrong mute button. I've actually it's the third time. Yeah, that's a good way to end, I think. No, I was going to say that I'm really excited for the next couple of months. Garage will be at Indy 500, and it's looking like we're going to be at Le Mans this year. Get the Garage logo on some cars, hopefully on the podium. Yeah, it's been yeah, honestly just looking back on the last 3-4 weeks, which is really all it has been. Like conversations with Scott Dixon started 4.5 weeks ago, I want to say. Conversations with Jota started 2 weeks ago, and it's been really really fun. And if you'd asked me a year ago, would we be talking about some of the most spectacular automotive art that I've ever seen with Ian's work, having an opportunity to work with the best teams in some of the top series in the world to partner with, I would have said there's no way, not a chance.
Yeah.
But here we are. It's just a matter of communicating this to the world and getting showing that this is really is an authentic project.
Yes.
You know, this really is possible. It's just a matter of getting car people together and knowledgeable about the vision.
Yeah, and I just want to add. I mean, that's one thing I really you asked earlier about what that thing was with Garage and the opportunities. I think it is connecting to something real, and I think that's really really important. It's not just the digital goods for sale. It really is much more. It's much deeper, and it's just always links back to something real. Just amazing.
Yeah, it's a great way to wrap things up. So thanks again, everyone, for joining. We recorded this session and we'll share that out in the Discord. So we hope to see you all there.
Yeah, thank you for the listeners who tuned in. Amazing.
Thanks. See you. Bye.
All right, guys. Bye.